All right, hello everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for this presentation tonight about finding fit. First of all, before we actually talk about what fit is and how you can find it, I want to let you know that myself and my colleagues here tonight are not only representatives of our own institutions, but we also all are part of an organization called RACC. It's the Regional Admissions Counselors of California. And so all of the members of RACC work for schools that are out of state, but we ourselves do not live in the same state as our university. In fact, all of us here tonight live in California, all in Northern California, so not too far away. I'm located the farthest away. I'm in the Sacramento area, so an hour and a half max. So just know that we are your advocates. We're here to help you if you have any questions about applying to out-of-state schools, if you have questions about our particular universities, or even other universities. If you go to regionaladmissions.com, you can learn a lot about different universities, see events that we're offering. We actually have a college fair with StriveScan next week on the 28th. Is that right, Ashley? 28th, okay. So sign up for that. That's a great way to learn more about all of us. But we'll go ahead now and jump into finding fit. So this is something that you're going to hear a lot as you're talking about the college process, and that's finding a college that is the right fit for you. But a couple questions really come up when you talk about fit. First of all, what does it mean and how do you find it? So we're going to be talking tonight about how you do those things, how to find the school that really is going to be the best fit for you. And just one thing that I really do want to highlight from the start before I turn it over to Dennis is to let you know that you can find a college that's a good fit for you, whether it's in-state or out of state. Any of the things that you're looking for, you can find in both of those locations, even internationally too. Just know there are thousands of colleges across this country. So even outside of California, you are going to find fantastic universities that offer the same programs and activities that you're looking for. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dennis to start talking about how exactly you think about fit.
Fit, right? So we have to have it all figured out, right, everybody? When you're heading into the process, yeah, far from it, I think. There's so many factors that go into it. I was looking at these slides today and just thinking about, you know, I have two daughters that are in college now, and I went through the process with a current freshman. So there's literally so many factors. And then now in this kind of weird world we've been in the last year, just had such a huge effect. And you know, added and maybe some different kind of challenges, obviously, to the process. But everybody heading into the process, I think everybody's different for one. So you're gonna have different influences on you, obviously your family and parents, but your friends, and maybe you have that friend that has it all kind of figured out what they want to do, and they got it all mapped out, and that's great. So everybody's a little bit different. And all these things that you'll see here, and my favorite is the and many more, because there are so many things that can drive your interest one way or the other, or you know, maybe that you think you want an urban environment, but then you visit a school and you're like, oh man, maybe I want more of a suburban or a rural environment. You know, so I think keeping an open mind when you're heading into these things is important when you're going through the process. You know, getting started early. But everybody will have factors that help narrow it down. I've been asked a lot lately on the fairs we've been doing virtually at the end, you know, what's your advice? You know, let the process work for you. I've been saying a lot, be patient, be open-minded, let the process work for you. Because even when you start, whether you have it all figured out or you have no idea, you're gonna already have things that are gonna whittle down your decision a little bit, whether you wanna, you know, live on campus, do you wanna be geography, do you want to be close to home, far from home? We already said, do you want to be rural? Do you want to be urban? That's going to start to whittle down size of the school, right? All those factors. Are you a student athlete? Are you interested in performing arts? You know, pep band, marching band, all those sorts of things are gonna play into it. So you may jump on something like this and never hear of one of our universities, and then all of a sudden, you know, walk away being like, wow, I'm totally interested in that institution. I didn't know, you know, Tennessee sounds great. Philadelphia sounds great. St. Louis sounds great. Who knew, you know, type of thing. Next slide, please, Cheryl. And I think I jumped around a little bit here because they do spill over, right? Again, you know, what's the student body look like? Where's the campus location? Again, close to home, far from home, urban, suburban, East Coast, West Coast, on the beach or close to the beach, far from the beach, right? So, but certain things too, if you know your major, like I get asked a lot, hey, marine biology. Well, we're in St. Louis, Missouri, so we're a little ocean challenged. Well, you know what? Probably checks us off the list. But, the other thing you get, and I know Cheryl and Ashley the same way, I'm going to give you 3 or 4 schools that, hey, they have great marine biology programs, so use your resources. You may find some in us just because we don't have that program, but maybe we know somewhere that does. Again, all the school size, environment, research opportunities, do they Division I football or no football, right? It's all these factors, and 50 or 100 more will play into everybody's kind of search process. But again, everybody's different, and that's okay. The process is going to work for you. So that's my kind of spiel. Those are always tough because there's so many factors that play in.
Oh, it's so true, Dennis. And it's going to vary so much student by student. What you're looking for in fit is going to be very different than what your best friend or significant other or classmate or brother and sister have been looking for. Just know that it's okay. Your list is supposed to be unique to you. And Ashley will talk a little bit more about your college list in just a minute. But before we get there, I do want to talk a little bit about the financial aid side of things, because really one thing that's important to keep in mind is that fit is also financial too. You have to make sure that the schools you're applying for are ones that you can afford. There are a lot of resources that are out there for you, and I do want to highlight a little bit about that and then talk a bit about the process too. So just remember that each university is going to have a slightly different process. You want to keep yourself very organized through your college search. Make sure you have it written down what each university is going to require. So for instance, Drexel, the university I work for, requires both the FAFSA and the CSS profile. FAFSA is offered through the government. That gives us a snapshot of your family's financial situation. The CSS profile is offered through the College Board. That gives us more of like a panoramic view, so we can see a little bit more detail of your family's financial circumstances. Other schools are going to have their own aid application you need to fill out. One thing I want to make really clear, whether you think you're going to qualify for financial aid or not, you should apply. Sometimes families are very surprised. They think they're not going to qualify, and then they do. Also note that sometimes financial aid deadlines are very strict. You should not wait until you receive an admission decision before applying for aid, unless that school's deadline is later. Keep a close eye on the deadlines. For Drexel, our financial aid deadline is anywhere from 2 weeks to 4 weeks after our application deadline. And you get your financial aid package at the exact same time you get your admission decision. So you want to make sure you're following those deadlines closely, because at Drexel, if you wait until you receive a decision, and you want to submit your CSS profile, then it's actually too late. We're not accepting them anymore because we finished our financial aid process. So you want to make sure you stick by those deadlines. The other thing I want to really point out is that I think a lot of times families get nervous, especially looking at out-of-state schools and then out-of-state private schools like Drexel, and they see the price tag and they automatically think that they can't afford it. Keep in mind that your sticker price is not necessarily your price, right? What you are paying as a family could look vastly different than what you're seeing from that sticker price, because there are things like scholarships available at private universities. We do have the need-based aid that families can qualify for. There are factors outside of just the price tag that can make a huge difference when it comes to what your cost will actually be. So again, don't conflate the sticker price with your price. Another thing to keep in mind is to make sure that you're talking as a family about what you can afford, so that you know ahead of time, okay, I've talked with my parents or my guardians, and I understand this is how much we actually have to put towards college, so that when you get your financial aid package back, you know what's a realistic option for you and what is not. One thing you can use to figure out what could be a realistic option is that every single university in the US is required by law to have something called the net price calculator. It has to be on their website. And so you can go into the net price calculator, fill out some information, and you can see how much you could qualify for an aid. It's not a guarantee because scholarships can change year to year in terms of, rubrics that schools use. Your family finances could change some between now and the application, but that will give you an idea of what you can possibly anticipate. Another thing to look at would be the college scorecard. That is something else that every college is required to participate in based on federal law. It's actually a site that is managed by the Department of Education. But it shows you the average amount of debt that each family has, the average cost that families pay. So again, it gives you a little bit more of that realistic idea of how much it actually might cost you to go to a school, or the type of debt that you can expect once you graduate. And then finally, I do want to mention that you also have the opportunity for private scholarships. So those are scholarships that are not coming through the school, but they're coming from an external organization. It could be the local Kiwanis Club. It could be a religious institution. It could be something completely different. Coca-Cola, for instance, has a big scholarship every year. There are literally millions of dollars in scholarship money every year that go unused because the students who qualify them are not applying for them. So some excellent resources for you would be places like the College Board. They have lists of scholarships. The FastWeb, that's a website that you can go to and build a profile, and it will match you with scholarships that you could be eligible for based off of that profile. So for instance, I have reddish hair, I'm Lithuanian, my dad was in the military. Literally, that could match me up with some scholarships. And then the Scholly app is also another great option, very much like FastWeb, only in app form, and it's a little bit more user-friendly. So some really good options for you. Take a look this summer if you're a junior at private scholarships. The earlier you apply, the better. You don't want to wait until the spring of your senior year. A lot of deadlines have passed at that point, and then you also don't have a lot of time left to hear back before you have to make a decision. So spend some time on that this summer. It could make a huge difference for you. So that's what I wanted to speak about in terms of the financial fit. Ashley, I'm going to turn it on over to you now.
Awesome. Sounds great. Okay, guys, so I'm wanting to make this a little bit interactive. So feel free to use the reactions, give me some sort of an emoji. Are any of you out there feeling a little overwhelmed when you think about colleges? You're thinking this process seems like a lot. Okay, I'm already seeing some pops. I get it. That's how I was when I was in high school. And honestly, I feel for you all, especially since you're trying to do this during a pandemic, right? But don't fear. The process is really not as hard as you probably think it is. We'll try to kind of break that down for you a little bit tonight. And then also remember that there are people out there to help you, right? There's a lot of people who are on your side. There are so many people who have done this before you. It's not really a big mystery. And so reach out to help. One of the best places that you can go for help is reach out to your college and career center at your high school. You all have incredible college advisors at your school. And some high schools, the college advisors have really big caseloads, and sometimes they're not able to dedicate as much time to each individual student as they are at schools that maybe have smaller caseloads. But whatever it is like at your high school, because I think we have at least 2 high schools on this call, I encourage you to reach out to your college advisor and say, hey, I have a few questions about these colleges that I'm looking at. Or maybe you haven't even started and you feel so overwhelmed and you say, can I sit down with you and talk with you about the college process and you can kind of guide me through this? So know that that's one person you can go to. Other people that you can go to are people like Cheryl, Dennis, and myself. If there is a school that you are interested in, maybe you're just kind of testing the waters, you're not sure if it's a good fit for you or not, or you're really interested in a certain school, don't hesitate and reach out to the admission counselor. I would be ecstatic if any of you emailed me tomorrow and said, hey, I really liked your presentation on the University of Tennessee, and I have some questions about the application process. I think most admission counselors are going to be extremely glad to help you, maybe schedule a Zoom call with you, a phone call with you. And even those schools that are where the admission counselors are a little overworked because maybe they're receiving thousands upon thousands of applications from their territories, even those admission counselors are going to have time to answer your questions by email. So reach out to us. For the most part, we're really, really nice, friendly, outgoing people. And just know that we're here for you. And again, there's no silly question. If it's a question about what GPA you need to get in, great, we can help you with that. A question about what student life is like, awesome. The list just, it goes on and on. Whatever questions are important to you, we're happy to help you with those. Another resource that you have out there, this is not a person, but this is a website. If you go to the College Board College Search tool, that can be a great place to start if you're in that boat where you're like, I don't even have a college list yet, right? Just like what Dennis was talking about earlier, there's all of these different factors of things to keep in mind when you're looking at schools. And if you really sit and think about it, you probably know what's most important to you. If I had to go back and do my college list, I would probably look for a school maybe on the beach. And that's for real. In hindsight, I wish I would have done that. I would have looked for a school that was very diverse. I would have looked for a school that had my major Spanish, and I would have looked for a school that had a strong study abroad program. So that's just me. Your list is going to be different, right? But you can go into the College Board and write this down. If you have a note, write it down on your computer, write it down on a notepad. The College Board College Search tool. That's where you can go and enter all of the criteria of what you're looking for, and it's going to spit out a list of schools that would be a great fit for you. So that's an awesome place to start. Also, you might want to keep a spreadsheet. If you're the type of person that just helps you keep up with deadlines and requirements, things like that, you could make a list for a row for each school that you're interested in, and then columns for application deadline, scholarship deadline, because that's something that students sometimes forget. Sometimes there's a separate scholarship application from the admission application. So you can make a column for that. Requirements for what you need to apply, your admission counselor's contact information. So keep that in mind. If you're one of those types of people that something like a spreadsheet just makes you feel more in control, feel like you're on top of things, you might want to do that. And then to keep this kind of interactive, put in the chat for me, you guys, what you think is a good number of schools to apply to. Kind of what the recommendation is for students when they're applying to schools. 2 or 3, 4 or 5, 10, 20, 30. Okay, good. I'm seeing a lot of 10s, 5 to 10. I saw somebody who said 20, 12, 10, 15-ish. Okay, I like these, you guys. There's no perfect number. I would say my recommendation is probably about 5 to 8, right? If you go much lower than that, you run the risk of, what if in a worst case scenario, you don't get into any of them and then you didn't apply to enough. But then also I feel like if it's, about 10 or more, it kind of gets a little confusing keeping up with everything. Also, you're going to spend a lot of money on the application fees, but then also really guys, what you need to be thinking about is, are all of these schools actually schools that you're interested in? Because you don't want to apply to a school just to apply. That's wasting your time. That's wasting the university's time. So my recommendation, this isn't like a rule that you have to go by, but I would say maybe about 5 to 8, something like that. And you're going to want to diversify your schools, right? So really quickly, I would encourage you to look at some likely schools, target schools, and then reach schools. So basically your likely schools are going to be colleges where you have a strong or likely chance of getting in based on your profile, right? So like your GPA, things like that. And this would be a school that consistently accepts students a little bit lower than your profile. Then you want to apply to some target schools. Those are going to be colleges that are just right on the money. They fit your profile. And so while your chances of being accepted are good, there might still be the possibility that you're waitlisted or denied. And then you might want to apply to a reach school or two. And those are going to be schools that commonly accept students with higher GPAs. So this is going to be at the very top of your range. So just wanted to point that out so that way you do diversify the list, because every once in a while you hear of students who are, you know, really strong students, maybe a 4.4 GPA. I've literally heard of a student with a 4.4 who only applied to a handful of schools, and they were very selective schools. She didn't diversify enough and she didn't get admitted to any of them. So keep that in mind when you're applying to schools. Of course, try to visit in person or virtually. So many students get that feel when they step on a college campus and they say, oh, this is the one for me. So if you get the chance, try to visit. And then now everybody has virtual tours now that we've been through a year plus in a pandemic. Talk with current students if you can, because you're probably going to get more out of that than talking with me or one of my colleagues here. You know, we're a wealth of information, but I feel like there's nothing like connecting with a current student. And if you want to connect with current students on a particular campus, reach out to the admission counselors. Students email me that all the time. Hey, can you connect me with the current student? Can you connect me with an alum in the area? And I'm always able to make it happen. So consider making that request. And then lastly, work on your resume and your essays early. You know, over the summer, that'd be a great time to start working on your essays, especially if the colleges that you are applying to have released their essay prompts in advance, right? This is also a great time to work on your resume. And guys, if there's one thing I can say about a resume that I think students sometimes miss out on, is you don't just have to include things that are organized activities through your school. So let's say you're the type of student that you do a lot of work around the home. You maybe babysit your brothers and sisters. Maybe you take care of some elderly grandparents. You're making meals at home. You're running your brothers and sisters around to their activities. Those types of things matter. That's the type of thing that I would put on a resume or an activity sheet, in addition to any other activities you have, like maybe sports, theater, things like that. But maybe you're the type of student that takes up all of your time and you can't participate in other clubs and activities, and that's perfectly fine. Just make sure to put that on your resume and quantify it. Say how many hours a week you do those activities and how many weeks out of the year, okay? And also, one last thing about essays. Essays can be a great place to demonstrate your interest in a school. So if a school is really high on your list, 1, 2, 3, talk about that. Talk about how much you love the school, why you think it's a good fit. Talk to your admission counselor about that. And that can make a difference if the school takes into account demonstrated interest. And even if it doesn't, in my case, let's say at the end of the year, some scholarship money comes available or something like that. And they say, do you know of any students that are really interested that might need scholarship money? Well, I'm going to think of those students who have formed a personal relationship with me. So it can really work in your favor. Okay, last slide, Cheryl, and I will make this quick. Okay, so what we're going to wrap up here with is just that every institution is unique, right? If you students on this call ask me, what are colleges and universities looking for in candidates nowadays? There are some things that are going to overlap, right? Like most of us are looking for students with good grades, things of that nature, but the full list of what a school, what each individual college or university is looking for can vary greatly. So I think the best thing to do is go to the source. Go to the website and get a general idea of what a school is looking for, but then also reach out to your admission counselor and ask, what are the most important things in your application process and how can I make myself stand out, right? So again, some schools look at demonstrated interest. Other schools don't take that into consideration at all. Some schools look at essays. Other schools, if you send an essay, they actually might not read it, because I've worked for a school like that before, right? So it varies widely. On one end of the spectrum, they might just be looking at your GPA and maybe test scores if some schools are still looking at test scores, and they have a grid and they'll base you on those qualifications. But then other schools, they're doing more of a holistic review. So they're looking at essays, activities, letters of recommendation in addition to grades and things like that. So just give your admission counselor a call, say, hey, do you review applications holistically, or is it a different process? Can you tell me more about that? And how can I put my best foot forward? Okay, so every institution is unique, and it's just great to reach out to us to learn more information. And guys, with that, I will end my part of the presentation and turn it back over to Cheryl.
Thanks, Ashley. So as I said in the chat earlier, and then also speaking earlier, feel free to drop any questions you have in the chat box. We will get to them. You can direct them privately to me. I'll be moderating the Q&A, or you can put them in publicly for everyone, whichever you feel more comfortable to do. But again, if you are going to direct them to one person, please send them to me, as I'll be moderating the Q&A. What we're going to do now is just give you a really quick introduction to each of our universities, so you know a little bit more about whether one of our schools could be a good fit. Or maybe you think that our school sounds really interesting, but you want to be at a school slightly closer to home or something. That's totally fine. Then you can go to your college counselor and say, hey, I really like that Drexel. You know any West Coast schools that are similar? But don't be afraid to go out of state. It is really an amazing opportunity for you to go somewhere different, have a different experience, learn things about a new culture. Philadelphia has a very different culture than California. So it's a lot of fun. So I do work for Drexel University in Philadelphia, as I just mentioned. So we are an East Coast school. We are a large private tier 1 research university. We have about 15,000 undergraduate students. But one thing that's really important to note about us is that our class sizes are a lot smaller than what you might expect. And that's really intentional on our part. We have a strong focus on experiential education. So we do a lot of hands-on project-based learning, which is not something you can do if you're in a large lecture all of the time. So you're going to be able to have experiences in your field through the classroom, also outside of the classroom. And I'll talk about that in just a moment. For majors, we offer over 80 majors across 15 colleges and schools. Some popular programs that I see a lot of my California students applying to would be engineering, computer science, business, nursing, biological sciences, psychology, media arts and design. We also have great programs in things like communications, culinary arts, pretty unusual for a tier 1 research university to offer, hospitality management. We have an eSport business program. I say those things just to highlight the fact that there's a lot of depth and breadth of opportunities at Drexel. If you know what you want to study, you can apply directly to your major of interest. All of our programs are direct entry. You start taking classes in your major from day one, which means you get to know your professors and other students in the program really early. Also, if it turns out you don't really like the major, you find that out early on and have plenty of time to change your program. Note that we don't have impacted majors. You're really not going to find any impacted programs outside of California. That really is a unique to California issue. I had never heard the word impacted as it relates to education before I moved out here. So as far as I knew, when you talk about impacted, you were talking about your wisdom teeth that weren't growing in properly. So just know, out of state, you don't really see that as much. But moving back to Drexel, we do also have great options for students who are unsure what they want to do. We have a first-year exploratory studies program. We have undeclared options within most of our colleges and schools. We also have a lot of great accelerated degree programs. So one thing I mentioned a moment ago is that you can have some great experiences in your industry outside of the classroom. That takes place through our co-op program. Co-op it stands for cooperative education, and it is like a more in-depth experience than what you would have in a traditional internship. It is a 6-month break from your classes where you are working in your field of interest, typically in a full-time paid job. This co-op is something that we've offered for over 100 years. So we actually have over 1,500 employers we work with all over the world. So you don't have to stay in Philadelphia. You can go back to California, get a position in the Bay Area, stay with family during that time if you'd like. You could go to New York. You could go overseas. You could stay in Philly. You have a lot of options. But the idea behind the co-op is it gives you a chance to test drive your career, see if it is what you want to do. And if not, you can come back and change your major. Some students do the experience and realize, yes, this is exactly what I want. Or it may help them to refine what direction they want to go within their industry. But no matter what, you are building a strong resume, you're building connections in your industry, and that sets you up really well for success after you graduate. And then outside of the classroom, we have so much going on. We're a very active and engaged campus community. We have over 350 clubs and organizations. We are Division I for sports. We have performing arts and Greek life. We're very involved in community service. And then then I know I mentioned we're in Philadelphia. I just want to tell you a tiny bit about our location. We are truly in the city. It is a very urban environment. City streets run through campus. You'll see taxis going by, food trucks all over the place, but note that we are fully residential. We're not scattered all around the city. We're not a commuter school. Students are required to live on campus their first 2 years, so it is really easy to get involved and make friends. And it takes about 15 minutes to walk from one side of campus to the other, so it's very manageable. And then the last thing for me is that for the application process, we are test optional for at least the next 2 years. We do full holistic review. If any of you apply, I would be the first person reviewing your application. So don't hesitate to reach out. I'll drop my contact information in the chat. But for now, I'm going to turn things over to Dennis to talk about Marysville.
If I can just unmute myself, we're good, I think. Thanks everybody again. My name is Dennis Jones and I'm the West Coast Regional Director of Admissions at Maryville University. Maryville is an independent private university located about 15 or 20 minutes west of downtown St. Louis, Missouri. So suburban campus, don't feel like you're near a major city when you're on campus, lake on campus, hiking trails. But again, you have all the amenities and advantages that a major metropolitan area offers, 10 or 15 minutes away. We have students from all 50 states, 52 countries right now, but still an average class size of 15. So it's just a good mix of people. Our third most freshmen in the last 4 years have come from California, Missouri, Illinois, California, Tennessee, Texas. But again, all 50 states are represented on campus. I mentioned that both my daughters are college students. Both of them are Maryville students from the Bay Area. So current freshman and a junior. So I went through the process, during the pandemic with my younger daughter. Division II athletics, biggest D2 conference in the country. Brand new facilities really within the last 2 years for all of them except for court sports. That's coming. We also have pretty much everything but football there with the D2 sports. We also have about 21 club sports. We scholarship men's and women's ice hockey, men's and women's rugby, men's volleyball. Ice hockey's and men's volleyball will be playing a Division I schedule in 2022. We're big in the esports world. 4 out of the last 5 national titles in League of Legends. We were ranked number 1 in the nation in Overwatch the last couple years, and most of the last couple years. Our esports facility is about 16, 18 months old on campus as well. So really, really modern campus, not your typical Midwest campus at all. Life coaches for all of our students as well. They are not your parent, but they serve. They're there to help you with the transition to college, really wherever you go, whether it's close to home, further away, there's going to be a transition period. My daughters love their life coaches. They're a one-stop shop to help with making sure you're in the appropriate academic program. They work closely with heads of departments, again, to help with the transition. If you're having a bad day, need to change a class, don't like your roommate, they are a one-stop shop. They are awesome. Just a quick snapshot of a few of our strategic partners there on the left. Way too many to put here. You can see Apple. We're one of 9 Apple distinguished schools in the entire country. Think about that. 3,500, 4,000 colleges, only 9 are recognized for their innovation and use of technology in and out of the classroom. That's important with any program. Technology is coming at us fast, right? You can see our snapshot, top 15 programs really for kids from the West Coast. Obviously, direct entry, nursing, PT, OT, any of our business programs. You can do bachelor's, master's in 5 years in any of them. Brand new all in-house computer science program. You can choose blockchain, AI, a bunch of different tracks there. Campus enhancements, lots of new construction, renovation coming. Digital World Initiative, all of our students get iPad Generation 7s with the pencil. Students better than me. We pay for 100+ apps, Quizlet Notability, things like, things that are major specific. Game design program is taking off. And then we're in the middle of a tuition decrease. So we dropped tuition by 5% heading into this year. We're going to drop it by another 15% over the next 3 to 5 years. So really want to be accessible and affordable to everybody, and not there yet, but we're working on it. $5,000 California grant, automatic for being from a California high school, stackable and renewable. You put that on the $14,000 merit scholarship based on GPA or test score, because we're test optional, and there's more than half your cost. right there. And your cost is actually your cost. It's everything built in. I'm pretty sure maybe we're the only school in the country. Books, iPad, room, food, laundry, parking, Wi-Fi, tutors, printing, etc. And with that, I will turn it over to Ashley at the University of Tennessee.
Okay, guys, so let me move this toolbar just so I can get this slideshow started. Okay, so yes, thank you, Dennis. I'm going to talk with you all just a little bit about the University of Tennessee. I am originally from East Tennessee, right near Knoxville. I'm from a small town called Sevierville, so I am a little biased, but I do think that UT and just the area surrounding our campus is really beautiful. And I hope that if you all aren't familiar with UT, that you will consider it. So a little bit about the University of Tennessee. We are a large campus. We have about 28,000 students on our campus. So if you're looking for a large school with a lot of spirit, great athletic teams, school spirit is certainly something that we are well known for. And by the way, Cheryl, am I okay? I noticed that you just unmuted yourself.
Yeah, so actually we can't see your slides. It says Ashley Anderson has started screen sharing, but it's not actually showing the slides. I know that your computer is
yeah, it's weird. I wasn't able to see Dennis's slides, so I feel like something is going on. It says your screen sharing is paused. I don't. Let me try this one more time. And you know what, if it doesn't work, I'll just, it's still not working, right?
No, it's not.
Is anybody in the chat maybe got an idea? Okay, they're just saying they can't see them.
Or try to unshare and then share again.
You know what, I did, I tried that. So
oh, wait, I see it now.
You do?
It just popped up. Don't you love technology? We've all been doing this for over a year, and yet sometimes, some days, it just hates us, and that's all.
Oh, I know, it hates me all the time. Well, thank you everybody for your patience. I appreciate that. So as I was saying, University of Tennessee, it is in an absolutely incredible location. It's gorgeous. Here you see on the left side of your screen a shot of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. So we are just about a 50-minute drive from the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. So if you're a type of student that loves the great outdoors, you like hiking, skiing, whitewater rafting, that kind of stuff, you would absolutely love it there. But then we're kind of the best of both worlds because our campus is located in the city of Knoxville, which is the third largest city in the state of Tennessee. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. You get the feel of an urban campus. We're very much an urban campus, but then if you want to escape from that, get away to the mountains, you have that. Also, our campus is situated, as you can see, right along a river. It's right in my background. I'll actually hide myself really quickly so you can see Neyland Stadium. That is our football stadium. It's, I think, the 5th largest football stadium in the country. So if you're looking for a school with a lot of school spirit, look no further. That's really what we're well known for. There's a lot of really cool water sports that take place on the Tennessee River, which is, again, right by our campus. And then a fun fact before all of our football games, in addition to tailgating, we do have sailgating, which is a lot of fun. And then, as I mentioned, we are in a city. We're just a short walk from downtown. So students love that. Knoxville is lively, really vibrant. There's lots of great festivals that go on downtown and things of that nature. And then as you can see on this slide, we do also have an airport located right in Knoxville. So it makes it easy to get in and out. We're a large campus, like I mentioned, about 29,000 students total. We're very much a traditional campus. So if you're looking for Greek life, you're going to find lots of experience, lots of opportunities for that at UT. We are the University of Tennessee Volunteers, or the VOLs for short. So as I already mentioned, the volunteer spirit on campus is strong. We have Division I athletic programs. And because we are a large campus, we have over 600 clubs and organizations to get involved in. And then in terms of academic majors, we really have just about everything under the sun. So we have over 360 different undergraduate programs. There's only a few majors that I can think of that we don't offer at UT, but a lot of our out-of-state students come to us for majors that you see listed here, like animal science is a really popular one, and we do have a vet school on our campus. Architecture is also a big draw. We have incredible business programs, and our supply chain management program is ranked in the top 10 programs in the country. We also have engineering. A lot of out-of-state students come to us for engineering because we have just about every type of engineering, including some hard to find ones like aerospace and nuclear engineering. We also have a body farm on our campus, which might sound a little creepy, but is pretty unique and cool. We have a forensic anthropology undergraduate major, and FBI agents train on our campus every year, which is pretty cool. So if you're looking for something like that, look no further. We also have a very competitive nursing program, but it is direct entry, which is nice to have that guarantee. And then, you know, that's just a handful of our majors. The list goes on and on. So what I will leave you all here with is that last year we did go test optional. We haven't made a decision about what we're doing this next year, so stay tuned. But we did go test optional and did not require students to submit test scores. If you have questions and want to talk a little bit more in depth about the application process, because I didn't get a chance to do that here, just reach out to me and I'll be more than happy to give you more information. And then I will turn it back over to Cheryl because I think we're going to open it up for some questions here.
That is right. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording so we can all feel comfortable asking questions. So I'll go ahead and do that now.